now we could get into the NFL draft. So what I did was, and me and Willie talked about this earlier this morning, and I did a mock draft. I did a first round mock draft. I just simulated and let it go by itself. And the results came out, and we're going to pull it up right there. If you can see that and how that fell when it comes to this draft, you have we could talk about just the top 10. We don't have to go through all of this.
Mm-hmm.
We could just go through the top 10. How we all know that Cameron Ward is going to be the number 1 overall pick for the Tennessee Titans. We already know that. Travis Hunter going to the Browns. I thought that probably would have been a Shedeur Sanders. Honestly. Abdul Carter going to the Giants, knowing they don't get a quarterback. Mind you, this is from Pro Football Sports Network. This is where I got it from. So I just simulated this, and I didn't make these picks. We didn't make these picks. This was just fast simulated. Will Campbell going to the Patriots. I think that makes sense in my personal opinion because you got to protect Drake May.
Mm-hmm.
Will Johnson going to Michigan. We talked about it in the last show how his stock really dropped a lot. So I'm kind of surprised that he's there at 5 because I thought Mason Graham would have been there at 5. And it comes to the Las Vegas Raiders, and Alshon Jeffrey is there. Interesting, because right at this number 7 overall pick is the most interesting because the Jets just got Justin Fields, and you pick up Shedeur Sanders in the first round at 7 overall, and he drops that far down. That's interesting to me. You got T-Mac. I could never get that name right, so I call him T-Mac, the wide receiver from Arizona. I'm kind of surprised that he dropped it well, but Bryce Young does need another weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And Bryce Young came on later on in the year and showed that he could actually play in the NFL. Because for me personally, you might laugh at this, Bryce Young looked like a junior varsity quarterback.
He did
from his body type. He looked like a junior varsity quarterback. He did.
Well, guess what on that on Bryce Young. I had gotten some information from my girl Jenna, the professional fan, that had said, like, around that point in time, Bryce Young and his girl was having a whole bunch of problems, and it really messed them up. So being benched was probably the best thing that happened for him.
Okay.
So yeah, just want to throw that in there.
So Mason Graham going to the New Orleans Saints. They do need a defensive tackle, but the Saints has a lot of needs too. And you're getting Armand Menabu from Missouri. I think that's a good pickup for the Chicago Bears. And I'm not going to say I'm gonna say this for the Chicago Bears fans. You could be happy the way this offseason went. Y'all had the best offseason out of any team in the league. Y'all addressed your offensive line with veterans and young players. You went out and got you could go out and still go get a running back in this draft because the running back is still deep in this draft. But Armand Menabu is one of the top, outside of Will Kim, one of the top offensive linemen in this draft.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to find protection for Caleb Williams. But they got Tyler Warren going to the Dallas Cowboys at 12. Interesting move there.
Yeah, especially when you look at what the Dallas Cowboys' major needs are with your bodies up front for the D-line. DeMarcus Ware is now in Seattle, so that actually is going to open up more offensive linemen to whip the offensive line or defensive line rather, and keep Micah Parsons out the way. Mm-hmm. That's a bit of a surprise that they will go tight end at that position.
Yeah. And just to let everyone know that if you see these blue marks here, that means trade happened. Because if you look at the Philadelphia Eagles at 17, they traded up. They traded up from the 32 overall pick. And what's crazy about it is I don't think they should have traded because James Pierce Jr. from Tennessee is a dog.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if he falls all the way to 32, whoever, if the Eagles are there in real life and they still there, because I have heard some rumors. And I'm going to get to that as well. But James Pierce is a dog, and I'm a Tennessee Vol fan, and I've seen him play. For him to fall to 32 goes crazy to me. It's insane. But I do like this. I do like this draft here. A lot of edge, a lot of linebackers, a lot of offensive linemen. You don't see any other running back come off the board, and that's what gets me back to the segment from the Raiders segment that we had. You see no other running back in this first round come off the board.
Right.
You can't pass up on Alshon Jeffrey if you're the Las Vegas. You can't pass it up. You can't see like wide receivers. Yeah, you can pass up on one, but Gentry, you can't pass up on a guy.
Let me put that back up on the screen real quick because I want to ask you a question about somebody.
Okay.
And you got two tight ends potentially going in the top 15 with Colston Loveland going to the Colts, and of course Tyler Warren going to the Cowboys. Tyler Warren has been compared to Rob Gronkowski. But I saw him play a little bit last year for Penn State.
Okay.
But because you watch a lot more college football than I have, but do you think the Cowboys are thinking that Tyler Warren could be the next Gronk? And that may be the reason why they're mocked slated right here?
I mean, they said that about Brock Bowers last year. They said that when we drafted him out of Georgia, they thought that he was the Brock. They thought Brock Bowers was the Rob Gronkowski of college football last year. So I can see the comparison between Rob Gronkowski and Tyler Warren because body specimen, the way they break tackles, the way they run routes. But for me, you're getting a young Rob Gronkowski out of Brock Bowers and Tyler Warren. You're getting that athleticism. You're getting that yards after the catch type of tight ends. Now, will the Dallas Cowboys go get a tight end at 12? I don't think they should. But even for Colston Loveland, that is a great fit for him in Indianapolis because that's what Indianapolis needs. They haven't had a great tight end since Eric Ebron, even before that. So
the Colts?
Yes, the Colts have not had a great tight end since like what Dallas Clark?
I will say Dallas Clark more than Ebron.
Ebron had some great years in Indianapolis, but it wasn't Dallas Clark type numbers. But he had some great years with the Colts. But I think Colston Loveland makes more sense for the Indianapolis Colts than Tyler Warren going to the Dallas Cowboys.
Agree. Okay. All right.